Hi, Bizzy here. Be love, be light, believe. Thank you for joining me here today on the Bizzy Show. I decided to find another river location. I had a lot of healing occur after my last river visit, so I felt it imperative to go back to a different spot, of course. And I found a really old tree to hang out with. It's actually in front of me. You're seeing some branches coming down below. The trees always help me with my camera. I prop them up on the tree. There always seems to be a perfect little nook put the camera. And then as you can see, it's a beautiful sunny day. There's a bit of a breeze. We've got sounds of water in the background. It's always very soothing to the ears, to the soul. There it is. Feels so good, that breeze and the wind and the Mother Nature giving a signal that, hey, here you are. Thank you for joining me here today in this nature. I'm gonna take a few deep breaths to get in tune with this tree that I'm standing next to, and see if any kind of channeling or messages come through from spirit. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. I walked about a mile-ish to get where I am, and I would just like to say that wandering aimlessly can help reset your frequency. When you go somewhere, to a park or the beach or a river or a pathway, I find that it's more fun to not necessarily have a plan. Destination maybe is important to make sure you have water and snacks and any other things that you might need for wherever you're going. That's obviously important. But when you get to where you're going, if you can sort of turn off what your goal is, or more like surrender to the day in your present moment, and walk or bike or horseback ride or jog, run, whatever way that you're out in nature, boating, whatever way that you're out in nature and that you're spending time and appreciating the simple things, it really helps to let go of any expectations that you might have for said outing. I remember when I was young, I used to get super amped up anytime I was going to go do something fun, like field trips, or if we were going to go to a lake, or if we were going to go somewhere outside in nature. I would get so super stoked, and the anticipation of how is it going to go. Then when I actually got to wherever we were going, I would be consumed with how and why it wasn't panning out the way that I thought that it would. And as an adult, I actually prefer for there to be no expectation. I prefer for there to be no set outcome for anything. And it's really helped me with my overall general anxiety, because when I take the time away from the normal hustle and bustle of the day-to-day stuff, and I set a few hours aside, I want those few hours to be fun and new and with no particular outcome. Because when I do that, I'm more able to be in my present moment. I'm more able to basically have a blank slate or an empty canvas of the next few hours. It's not planned out. It's free. It's gonna play out or be painted in whatever way the universe seems fit. And it's just so much more fun that way. When I record these videos, I often don't have a plan, and I just speak from the heart. I speak from my soul, and whatever I have to say, and there it is. It's really that simple. This is as raw as it gets for me here down by the river. I was exploring a spot a little bit up further where there's all these shells, these little river shells, and they crinkle underneath your feet. Crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. That was fun. However, there wasn't a spot up there. I didn't feel like that was quite the spot to record anything. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I won't even record something today, because sometimes I don't. I go out and I do my thing, and I just don't feel the urge to share, because sometimes, more often than not, when I'm in nature, I'm there to be alone, yet not alone, because nature in and of itself is always there with me. So I was on my way back to the main part of the trail, and lo and behold, I saw this really old tree, and today I took a picture. The last time I did a video, I forgot to take a picture of a really cool tree that I sat with. I remember where it is though. I might go back sometime. Anyway, I did take a picture of this tree, and it is a really cool tree. Part of it, you can tell, goes underwater sometimes whenever the water's high, yet the base of it is completely solid. This tree has been here a long time. It's a big one. For some reason, I gravitate to these really old trees whenever I explore. I don't quite understand it. I do know, though, that I always enjoy where I go when I'm guided to go where I'm guided to go. It sounds silly. However, that's my life. And I spend more time alone and with nature than I do with anyone else. And I feel like it's perceived for some reason that there's a lot more going on than the simplicity of what my life really is, especially now. I'm gonna get off that vibration and go back to this river here behind me. It's super, super shiny, reflecting the sunlight today. Feels good on my skin. The breeze is amazing because it's one of those days where it's not too hot, but warm enough to not be cold. It's a perfect temperature today, and must be pretty mild humidity because I walked and I didn't really break a sweat. And normally on the really hot summer days, it doesn't take much for it to get sticky. So I'm super glad I decided to leave the house today and get out and about and prioritized my time in nature. It's really one of the best things for me to help me stay on my path, on the spiritual path that I'm on. There aren't always words to explain what I'm going through or what I've been through. I can tell you that in the past there are some things that were incredibly traumatic that occurred, and as I was not in my right frame of mind at the time that they occurred, I was silent about many things, which as time has passed and I've tried to speak up about them, I feel unheard in a lot of ways. I feel unheard by family, I feel unheard by friends. So I'm pretty much isolated at this point, and I'm okay. It will be okay. They always say that some journeys are meant to walk alone, and I am one of those people who has to do this alone, as lonely as it can get. And every time I feel like I'm sinking in the mud, I get reminded that what I'm working through and trying to replace old traumatic memories with new, calm, peaceful memories, that one day maybe I won't have to be as isolated as I am now. Part of the reason I make these videos is because this is pretty much all I have to give in an outward way to people who aren't really in my life anymore, but they watch me. And that's good and all for y'all to watch me. But if you really knew what was going on down deep inside, you'd wish you'd hung on and stayed with me and checked on me when I wasn't well. Part of the traumatic things that I experienced years ago affected all of my relationships. And I could never really understand why, as I was groomed to be the helper always, since I was a child, why when I actually needed help, where was everyone? Living their own life, and I can't get mad that anyone, everyone's doing their own thing, but had all of these expectations growing up and as a young adult that I had to be there and help always, because that's what family and friends do. And some things occurred and things got really shitty for me, and no one checked on me, or a very rare few people. checked on me. And I've had to learn the hard way that the only relationship that actually matters is the relationship I have with myself. And if this is the way I had to learn it because I'm hard-headed, I'm stubborn, I'm prideful, then this is what I'm learning right now. I'm learning to be alone. Except, I'm not actually alone. That's the irony. I have the universe, source energy, God, spirit guides, ancestors, all of these energetic beings that I might not see with these eyes in this head of mine. I perceive them though. They are there. They've been helping me. It's basically like this invisible light army that goes everywhere I go. And they've kept me safe in all sorts of situations. Sometimes I justify the trauma, or I desensitize myself to the things I've been through, and because I know that so many people have had it worse, and that's one of the things I really need to not do. I have validated feelings, and I have validated reasons for being upset that certain things occurred the way that they occurred, and getting in touch with those emotions and going out into nature helps me transmute that crap and puts me in a much better place. I always feel better after going out in nature. Always. So for me, that's been the solution. For anyone else out there who's dealing with some stuff that you don't want to talk about, or feel like you can't talk about because of guilt or shame or negative self-talk because of the things that people have told you along the way that aren't true. They've programmed you to believe that you don't deserve anything, you don't have worth, or you don't have a voice. Or when you do speak up, all of a sudden it's a big deal because, oh my God, she speaks and disrupts everything. The status quo of the facades that people don't want to deal with, the true underlying things going on in their lives. So, it's always been in my way, even since a kid. I know that I wasn't alone as a kid. Man, I went through some stuff as a kid, and I carried around shame for well into my adult years for some things that occurred that were not my fault. I had no say in them, what people did to me, the things that people said to persuade me to not be in my natural way of being. And the spiritual journey I've been on for quite some time now, 9 or 10 years, it's pretty much ever since I became a mother, that my old life dissipated and died away. And that person that I was before then, she no longer exists. She's gone. She's been gone for a long time. That person that I was before that, she wasn't even real. She people pleased. She was programmed and always helped and put others' needs before her own. And it took a lot. It took a lot for me the past 10 years to realize that I don't have to live that life or that way that I thought that my life was going to go, that I imagined in my mind when I was a little girl. Basically, anytime you want to change your life, all you have to do is take the steps to change your life, and you're supposed to be in alignment with your true purpose and your soul mission. And it's okay if some people fall away, because part of the mission here as a light worker, star seed, chosen one, we come here, our souls decide ahead of time to come here under certain circumstances, and a lot of the times the things that we grow up in and the families that we come from are meant to test us and put us on our path. So despite all of the things that have occurred in my life and the traumas that I have endured in my childhood and in my adult life, I am grateful for every single thing that has happened, because right now at this point, as I'm talking to you, I feel really good. I am standing by a river in the sunshine, feeling this breeze and sharing bits of myself with those of you out there watching. And I do speak. I have a lot to say. I've spent a lot of time taking in information and storing it away in this library in my brain, and it's getting a little cluttered in there, so it's important to go through and share a few chapters here and there of what it's like to be in my shoes. And the biggest thing that I've learned the past few weeks personally is that I have purpose. I've learned that one a lot. That one cycles in and out. I think that a lot of us who are on a path, who don't know what we're doing, where we're going, the hardest part is to figure out what is your purpose. What are you here to do? What are you here to say? What changes can you bring about with your energy? What things bring you joy? Go do those things. The more things that you do that bring you joy, the higher your frequency will be. Everyone's going to have a different aspect of themselves that they're more focused on. And we each have a right as human beings to spend time doing things that make us feel good in a positive way. And anyone who tries to tell you that you can't go do this or you can't go do that, they've got to take a look in the mirror and remember that those that project things onto you that are negative are merely reflections of whatever it is that they're going through. And it's hard sometimes as empaths and sponges of, I'm like a sponge. I can feel it. When people are in pain, I can feel it. Especially today. And my way of transmuting all of that is to be here now with this beautiful scenery behind me, sharing a little bit of me with you, helping you raise your frequency, helping you not spend time doing whatever it was you were just doing that might not have been good for you. Sometimes you got to take breaks from those games. Sometimes you got to take breaks from the TV. Sometimes you got to take a break from your job. Sometimes you got to take a break from your family. Sometimes you got to take a break from your friends. Sometimes you got to take a break from the routine that you live every single day, every single week, every single month, every single year. Routines are fun and all. However, how are you supposed to grow when you're just living on repeat? Anytime I find myself feeling like I'm living in a Groundhog Day scenario, I know there's something I gotta get up and I gotta go do something different. I gotta take action. I gotta do something different. Because that's not the vibration or the frequency I want to be on. Living on repeat. Running in a hamster wheel and not getting anywhere. It's not doing you any good. If that's where you feel you are, and anytime you feel that you're stuck in there, you're stuck in the muck, or you're running in a hamster wheel, change it up. Go do something that brings you joy. You deserve an afternoon or a morning or an evening, just a couple hours. Spend it on your self-care. Spend it on loving yourself as you are in your own being, in your natural state. And you will be rewarded. There's so much more reward in learning to love the self than there is in seeking approval from others. Especially when we are living in a society that's all about seeking approval from others. It's backwards. It's backwards thinking. These trees along this river, they don't compete with each other. They don't say, hey, that tree down there isn't cool because it's shaped different. Or, hey, that tree down there isn't cool because it's younger than we are down here in this big old tree. It's nonsense. The comparisons. Nature is beautiful in its uniqueness. People are beautiful in their natural beingness, in their own uniqueness. Remember that. It's okay to feel like you don't belong. It's okay to feel different. You're supposed to be. No one is supposed to be the same as anyone else. Anyway, there's a boat back there, so I'd like to thank you for joining me here on the Bizzy Show today. Thank you for listening to my river rambles on this river radio session. Be love, be light, believe.